everybody. This is Derek from Eternal Paranormal. This summer, I've got an all-new series out called The Ghostly Encounters, where I conduct one-on-one interviews with different people talking about their paranormal experiences. So if you want to go out on an adventure with me, let's just go see what they got to say. Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Derek from Eternal Paranormal, and you're watching another episode of Ghostly Encounters. Today, we are talking with a gentleman that is an author. He is a producer for Expedition Entity. He is a filmmaker, an investigator. So without further ado, everybody, let me introduce to you guys Mr. Larry Eisler III. Hey, man, how's it going today, bud?
Good. How are you?
Not too bad. Not too bad. A little bit busy, but, you know, we made
I get
it.
I get it. 100%.
So,
yeah.
So I wanted to bring you on today to talk about your paranormal experiences that you've had, maybe growing up. I don't know when they started for you, but a lot of people tend to have a lot of experiences at around the same age, like 6, 5, 7 years old. So I just wanted to kind of get you on here and have a chat about that.
Sure. So the first experience I remember was actually in high school. My parents had this gigantic bunk bed that was like 7 feet up because I'm 6'2", and it's got to be a tall bunk bed because the bottom side was a desk. You got to be able to stand at the desk if you have to get in and out, right? So,
Right.
I mean, this bed was huge. And I remember laying in bed, and I had one of those 19-inch box TVs crammed into a shelf on the corner across from the bed so that I could lay there and still watch my TV. And, this was back in the Toonami days, right? Adult Swim.
Oh, yeah,
And,
yeah.
I'm sitting there watching Dragon Ball Z and stuff. And you know how, the show would end and it would go to commercial, but it'd be that 1 second of black. And then
Okay,
when
right.
the commercial came in, it was like blinding bright.
Yeah.
Numerous times during that black and then that bright flash, I would see this little boy peeking over the banister of the bed, like a good 7+ feet up,
Oh.
just little hands, a little face, a red coat. I remember the red coat. And that scared the crap out of me. Just, yeah. So that was the first time I remember. However, my parents would tell me that when I was a little kid, 6, 7 and whatnot, I refused to sleep in that room. I didn't have a bunk bed back then. I just had a regular twin. And they would wake up to me laying in the hallway with my pillow and blanket. Refused to sleep in the bed, refused to sleep in the room. I'd always do that. And then eventually I started sleeping on the couch. And then I guess I grew out of it and it stopped affecting me until I was in high school. And then I'm assuming the same spirit that was messing with me as a kid now made their appearance as a teenager. So
Wow.
I count that as my very first experience. I wish I could remember what caused me to sleep in the hallway. I'm assuming it's the little boy spirit, but now, as an adult, that spirit's gone. So I couldn't even tell you who it was.
Right. So when you say that it was at the foot of your bed, I mean
Oh, not the foot, like the railing, like
the railing.
so that you don't roll off the side of the bed.
Oh, okay.
So we're
Okay.
talking like a foot from my face.
So it's in the room with you as
Oh yeah.
as the light, it goes from black to white, and it
Yep.
just kept appearing as when it was like.
It wasn't every time. I couldn't
Okay.
be like, oh, he's gonna do it this time, because it would be like long stretches where it didn't happen.
Now, did you get?
But
I mean, was you scared or
oh
how did you?
yeah. Oh, I freaked out. I shot up, Jesus, what was that? And then by that point it's gone.
Right.
Kind of peeking over the edge a little bit, seeing nothing down there, obviously. And then just I can't begin to explain what it was. And I can't tell you how often that happened. And I also can't tell you what I did, because I don't remember anymore,
Oh, that was my next question. I was going to ask you, it's almost like one of those things where you have to deal with it because you
Yeah.
have no other. You can't just run away. I mean, you gotta.
What's up, Nick? Yeah, and it's like my parents didn't believe in the paranormal back then. Now I tell them about ghost hunting stuff, and they're like, "Oh yeah, that's cool." But
Yeah,
back then, they're just like, "What are you talking about?" There's a
that's what
there's a boy in my room.
he
He's watching
is.
me sleep.
Yeah. So we talked about that on our last episode. We were talking about how back in the day, the parents weren't, they didn't really talk about the paranormal back then.
No,
And
parents,
so,
grandparents, like it was hush hush.
yeah, yep. Until I think Ghost Hunters started coming out, then Taps, then Ghost
Hmm.
Adventures, and all this. And then it
Hmm.
just kind of, boom, it just exploded.
Up. Yeah, the
And so,
no longer
yeah,
taboo anymore.
right, exactly. So that kind of leads me into my next question. When was it that you first began, I would say, paranormal investigating?
So it was approximately 2009. I had just come home from my deployment, and I had watched Ghost Hunters before that. I
Right.
remember like it was 2006, 7 when I first started watching it, I think. And it was interesting. It was entertaining. I liked watching it, but I had never thought that, oh, I want to go do that. So I get home from my deployment, 2009, I'm bored. I have nothing to do. I'm just like, what? I'm just gonna sit at home now. Like, what am I supposed to do here? I just got done working every day for 24 hours straight. So I was into photography. I was into photo editing and stuff like that, and I somehow got involved with a web forum, which goes to show you how long ago this was. For
Right.
those of you that don't know, the web forum predates Facebook. You had to
Yeah.
go to that. The only way onto Facebook back then was with an education email address or with a government email address.
That's crazy. Right when it first came out.
Right
Yeah.
when it first came out, it was a university system. So, I got on there and I started disproving people's stuff. I was like, hey, this is edited. That was also around the time those stupid ghost apps came out. And that
Okay.
that little girl in the plaid dress was in everybody's pictures. Everyone. They're like, oh, I'm totally gonna slip this one by. Look, it's a little girl in a plaid dress. No, it's fake. So one group got really pissed at me. Like I'm constantly like throwing their stuff out, saying it's fake and whatnot. So like you're gonna come with us to investigate. And I'm like, hey Nick,
Nick
how's it going,
Smarlow
man?
says, hey.
So I'm like, yeah, fine, I'll go. They bring me to Scott Mansion in Joliet, Illinois. Now, Hiram B. Scott was one of the original patent holders for several strands of barbed wire.
Mm,
Which during the prairie farm days, there's a lot of barbed wire, there's a lot of fencing. He was pretty well off, and he built this beautiful house in Joliet that unfortunately fell in serious disrepair. So we go and investigate, and I kid you not, I'm coming in going, this is all bull. This is all garbage. This is all fake. I saw my first shadow figure block out the light of a hallway. I was touched for the first time. My first cold spot, and numerous noises inside of the room that I'm like, okay, so it's not a car outside. It's not one of us moving. It's not the house settling. What the hell was that sound? And I no longer could disprove all this stuff anymore. So, not long after that, I saw some random dude on Facebook named Dan Norvell. He was doing a cemetery crawl, not 45 minutes from my house. So, close enough. And I went out and decided to hang out with him afterwards, and then we worked together for 14 years until this January when he retired.
wow.
It's been quite the paranormal adventure.
Heck yeah. So, I wanted to ask now, was this the expedition entity?
Mhm.
Is that what that was?
So there's really two phases of Expedition Entity. The very first phase was around 2014-ish, and between 2014 and 2015, it was a YouTube series.
Okay.
And I want to say it had 9 episodes over 2 seasons, and a lot of those locations had people in the episodes that would not sign off on them going somewhere else. So a lot of those episodes we lost, couldn't use them anymore, couldn't do anything with them. So eventually, I wanted to take everything that I learned as an undergrad in university because I started my minor in film production, and we were updating the show. It was 2020, I believe. And Dan and I were talking, and we're like, we can put this somewhere. This is pretty good. People would want to watch this. So we decide to. Well, he decides, hey, we should look into Paraflix. It's an up and coming network. There's a lot of great stuff on there already. I think we do good there. Sent in the first episode. Natalie was just ecstatic about it. And then what? 16 episodes later, we have 3 complete seasons and brings us to today.
That's awesome. So you guys are going out to several different Paracons all around the Midwest.
Yeah.
Um, you've been
Yeah.
very busy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about your last one. I believe that you went to Gettysburg.
Oh, Gettysburg. Uh, out of all the conferences I've been to, and I've been to a few over the last 5 or 6 years. I've never been to one that tops Gettysburg. It was just so magical, but also like serious. It's a serious conference.
Right.
But and then there's like moments of levity where it's just like this is just fun. It's serious, but it's a lot of fun. And like I knew it was going to be a good time going into it because one, it's freaking Gettysburg. Like it's
Right.
like
There's a lot of
my that's my history bucket list, let alone the
history.
paranormal bucket list. But
Right.
but the conference itself was magical. And I made a post saying this approximately the day that I was driving home because I was bored on my 11-hour drive. The only reason I was able to go to Gettysburg is because of Russ Stiver and Jenny Davis.
Yeah.
Um, Jenny's been telling me for years, you gotta go, you gotta go. You really should go. It's such a good time. And I'm just like, yeah, yeah, it's far, it's expensive. I don't know. And then I get on Russ Stiver's show. I think it was Compass of Curiosities. And instead of going, oh, you should go, you should think about it. Russ goes, you're going. You are going to Gettysburg. And I'm like, damn, okay, I guess I'm going now. And I submitted a message to them and I'm like, hey, I'd really like to go. I have a workshop that's been doing very, very well at other conferences. I think it'd do well there. And I didn't hear back. And my first thought was, oh well, they're probably just swamped. This is one of the biggest conferences in the country for the paranormal.
Right.
Come to find out, Russ has the organizers on his show a couple months later, and I just happened to pop into chat again, Russ's show, and I go, "Hey Pam, I don't know if you got my message. I contacted you about me coming and being a part of the conference." And within 2 days, I am now booked, part of the conference, all set up, ready to go, and all I had to do was get there and just have the best time of my life.
That's awesome.
And again, it's only because of Russ and Jenny. So
So you had a funny video that I seen when you were live. I believe you were coming back from, I don't remember where you were coming back from, but it was getting dusk.
oh, that was the little round top.
And-
So I did a live, right? From the parking lot. And I was hiking up to the little round top because it was the first parking lot I saw. My GPS said, "Hey, park here, stupid." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, cool. I'll park here." Damn, that's a far hike. Okay, well, we're gonna make this entertaining. We're gonna live stream this. I got like 30 steps and started huffing and puffing and wheezing, and I'm like, "Oh no, people." People are going to hear how out of shape I am. So half of the live stream up was pointing at the ground, going, "Oh, oh God, oh."
Me too.
Eventually I get to the top, right? And it's around dusk. It's freaking beautiful. All these great views. I'm showing these monuments and the tower there and all this great stuff. So eventually I'm like, hey, I gotta get going. It's getting dark soon. I gotta be able to see my way down. So I get halfway down, and then Jenny Davis shoots me a message. She goes, hey, we're up at the top. Where are you? And I'm like, ah, shit. Hold on, I'll come back. I hang out with them for a little bit, and then it's dark, dark. I'm looking at them, I'm like, I gotta go. And then what do? They walk like 50 feet to the parking pad behind the monument. And I'm like, what? Huh? Wait, what? There's a parking pad back there? I could have drove up here. crap. So my first thought was, okay, this is kind of slick. I'm in not the greatest shoes for hiking. They're just kind of relaxed black shoes just for walking around.
Right.
And there's a lot of like hard stone surfaces that are pretty slick.
Mm-hmm.
So my first thought was like, if I died here, no one would know where I'm at. I'm gonna live stream this so that they can find my body.
That's
So
all.
I live stream my hike down, one pointing at my feet all the time to show the little tiny steps I'm taking to not die, and then periodically going, so there's that boulder. If you find this boulder, I'm next to the boulder if I die. And then
Man.
I'll go like 10 more feet. I'll be like, okay, this is the new monument. This is where I died. And then I got to the bottom, like, okay, guys, I didn't die. We're good.
Tiffy says
But
hi.
hi,
Um,
Tiffy, how are you?
man, so that's something that it sounds like I would do, honestly, like just that extra little precaution. Like, okay, at least we know what a little bit of a live video,
Right.
or if I do come up missing or pass out or something, I mean, somebody's gonna know that I'm somewhere. They
Right.
can
And
track
not
your
only that, they'll look at the live stream and be like, hey, that phone just took a tumble. We need to start calling the Gettysburg Park Police right now. And they'll come and find me.
when you hear like
Um,
shit, they come
like the phone sitting there just doing this repeatedly.
yeah.
Like, he's dead. But at the same time, though, a big part of my journey to Gettysburg, because one, it
Mhm.
was a solo journey, right? It
Right.
wasn't supposed to be, but circumstances happened and I had to go by myself.
Sure.
And that's a long journey to go by yourself.
11
11 and a
hours.
half hours, and I'm in the hotel by myself. I'm exploring Little Round Top by myself. I'm in a death-defying hike back to my car by myself. So, I started the Gettysburg trip with an intention to document my whole experience.
Hmm.
So, there was 2 or 3 lives on the way there. Mostly me going, guys, I'm bored. I'm just gonna talk because I'm bored. And you get to progress through there with me. I didn't get to see much. I was in the car the whole time. You guys didn't get to see much. You were in the car the whole time.
Right.
That's the drive, especially in Ohio. It's just nothing. It's just road straight across Ohio. Um, and then, while I'm there, photos and videos and all sorts of great stuff. And then the drive home, ultimately ending with a picture of my car at night in front of the garage and saying, thanks for coming with me for the trip. Like I got to tell this really cool story and then along the way show some cool stuff that I saw and some cool
Right.
people.
Hell
So
yeah. I mean, anything to entertain yourself on a long trip.
yeah, yeah,
And you interact with everyone else, so it's like we were there with you. You know.
absolutely.
Um.
Absolutely.
So I know that you've written a few books.
I have.
Um. And one of the books kind of relates to Gettysburg. Am I correct?
Not particularly. In theme a little bit.
Okay.
So the very first book that Dan and I wrote together, we don't talk about it. It's a theory book.
Okay.
We're talking like 2012. We don't talk about that book. Black Hawk, yeah. The next book we wrote together that we do talk about is The Ghost of the Black Hawk War. So this is a book that's part history, part paranormal. And we kind of follow Black Hawk's route from when he crossed the Mississippi down in central Illinois and came all the way up until he crossed into Wisconsin. And then
Right.
all the battles and massacres along the way. So you get a half a chapter of the history, the names, the locations, and dates, and all that stuff. And then half a chapter on what we found there. Now, some locations, it's in the middle of some dude's field now because it was originally supposed to be a prairie.
Hmm.
Some dude owns that field now. So, we really can't go in there and investigate very much. We did our best. Some places we just couldn't investigate at all. And we just had to say we couldn't do anything.
Right. Just like
But,
Alicia said, he came through here, and that's why we have a Black Hawk State Park here in the
right.
Quad Cities.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, when we started hitting the major spots like Stillman Valley, Illinois, that's the location of the first battle of the war. That battle is what started the war. It's called the Battle of Stillman's Run, where Blackhawks approximately 40 warriors caused Major Stillman's 275 men to do a full 180 retreat.
Hmm.
Completely turned them around, routed them through their camp where they trampled their camp, and then they went all the way back to Fort Dixon, which is now Dixon's Ferry and Dixon, Illinois.
Right.
So, you know, in that battle, there were approximately 12 militiamen that were killed. 9 died on this little hill in Stillman Valley where the monument and their burials are, and then 3 others were kind of scattered out and about, and they were never recovered. But the park that those 9 men are buried in with the 12 stones, it doesn't
Hmm.
have any dusk hours. You can
Okay.
be in that park all night long, and the cops will roll up and be like, "Hey guys, you catch anything yet?" I'm like, "Yeah, we're getting quite a bit. Cool, take care," and then they leave. It's a great place. As long as you're respectful, don't be like damaging crap. That's not cool.
Right. Right.
But like that was the first location we investigated, and it's like, hey, these guys have been dead for almost 200 years, and they got a lot to say. And oh boy, did they! And then we just kind of started following Black Hawk's trail, and then we got to Kent, Illinois, which is the combination of 3 battles: Kellogg's Grove 1, Kellogg's Grove 2, and then the Battle of Wadham's Grove. They all kind of just morphed it into one monument site where they're all buried, and started getting fantastic stuff there too. And then we really started researching. Okay, so these are the 2 big battles. What other little minor skirmishes were there? And turned it into this long 5-year research study, and decided to write a book about it. And that's our first book.
That's awesome, man. So I know that you guys went out there to investigate those spots.
Mhm.
What kind of paranormal, like what kind of, like, would you call it residual? Like what kind of haunting would you call that?
So Stillman has intelligent hauntings. All the spirits there seem to be intelligent. There's also an elemental there because Native Americans died in that area, and
Right.
it's protecting the grounds.
The native.
Um, and it doesn't like anybody, and it will make its presence known when it's time for you to leave. And Dan and I have been going there for well over a decade, and it'll still be like, all right, you're done, leave. And it'll make you feel like such intense terror that you got to go.
Wow.
So,
Just based off of like the EVPs that you guys get,
no,
or
just
just
that
feeling?
feeling. Yeah.
Okay.
You're just like, oh, something's not right.
Right.
We got to get out of here. Like it's a super intense pressure in your head. You're just like, nope. I don't know what this is, but I think it's the elemental. He wants us gone. And as soon as you step off the property, you're fine.
Right.
So, and then we've had mediums out there with us, and they're like, yeah, this elemental means business. And when he wants you gone, you are gone.
Do they have? I'm not sure. I don't think they name elementals, do they? They don't. There's like no names or anything like that. Like,
Not to my knowledge,
okay,
because they're not like a corporeal form. It's
right.
something well beyond any of our understanding. It's almost
Like
ethereal,
ancient, like
ancient, yeah,
spiritual.
a cosmic energy and not an earthbound energy.
Right. So
So
I was gonna say, oh shit, my mind just went blank. My bad. We were talking about the elementals.
it's okay.
I was gonna ask about the medium. When you guys took her up there, like, did she pick up on any names or anything like that, or did she pick up on anything?
Um, the one meeting we took up there, Jay Hill, I don't remember all of what he picked up on. He picked up on a lot of the names of the soldiers that are there, and picked up on the battle, of course, and the elemental and stuff like that. I don't think we've ever brought Diet there.
She's good.
Maybe we should bring Diet there.
Yeah, that'd
Hmm.
be awesome.
I'm pretty sure we have, but I don't remember. Um,
Alicia
maybe
says,
we did.
can you sense a change in the atmosphere when you go there?
Oh yeah. Normally the place is very light and airy. And then as soon as the elemental is done with you, it gets really heavy. Almost almost where it's like kind of weighing down on you, and it's just like this is sucking us down into the ground so heavy.
Right.
So, and then you're just like, all right, hold, we're leaving, relax, we're gonna go. Let me grab my stuff, and we're out of your hair.
Yeah.
And then as long as you go, you're fine. If you don't go, that feeling of dread gets worse. That pain in your head gets worse.
Mhm.
So just listen to the elemental and just get out of his space, and you'll be okay.
So, I have a question now.
Mhm.
If you had to give some advice to like beginner investigators, because you've been investigating for a long time,
It's been a bit.
what are some of the what's some advice that you would give to someone who wants to start out investigating?
The best thing that you can do is remember that for the most part, 99.9% of the time, you're speaking to a human. What's going on, brother? That's my veteran brother, Brian Fuller
Oh,
there. He was at Gettysburg too. But my advice would be to treat who you're speaking with as their human. So, if I were to walk into your house and I'm just like, Spirit, you are damn well going to answer me right now. What is your name? Are you going to give me any answers? Hell
nope.
no. I would be flipping
Nope.
tables at you. I'd be swearing up and down. Like, I would not entertain that at all.
I'd probably slap somebody.
Yeah, that's right. Or the spirit that's been doing this long enough is just going to ignore you. They're just going
Right.
to be like, oh, nope, forget this. I didn't know that he added me not too long ago on Facebook. I don't know what that's about.
Oh,
You get it for
Larry,
Brian?
or a Viking cat
Oh,
paranormal. I think that's what
for
she's talking about.
for Brian. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would be my first suggestion is when you're going in to talk to the spirits, talk to them like they're still alive. And yes, it sucks. We don't always get the immediate answer, but just assume that you are. Give them the space, 5-ish seconds to give them the space to make their answers known, and then just continue on with your conversation. Treat it like a conversation and not like a hard interview. And they're more likely, Brandon, what's going on, brother? They're more likely to open up to you and answer the questions that you want. Um,
Right.
Rock Island Roadhouse, end up playing hide and seek with a child spirit there, wanted to whip out the gadgets. Yeah, sometimes you just gotta treat them like a human. And then
Yeah.
you'd be amazed all the stuff that happens because you're not like light up the box if you mean yes. Light up the box. Okay, sure, we could do that, or let's just chat and then see what happens.
Right. Almost come at it like in a sense of with respect,
Yeah,
like, and have just a positive attitude when you're doing it.
that's
Um,
that's a big part. You have to be in the right space,
right.
and like your personal space. Like you can't come into an investigation having the worst day of your life. Like I got fired from my job, my girl left me, I got into a car accident. Screw it, I'm gonna go investigate tonight. You're not gonna have
Yeah.
a good time.
No.
Just
It's
you're gonna get an attachment, or it's gonna be a boring night. You're gonna get more pissed off. No, no, you
yeah,
have to be in the right space.
exactly. And I feel like protection is another thing that, we all should do before going into an investigation. So, do
Yeah.
you do anything to like, how do you go about it before you go into an investigation? Do you do anything to protect yourself?
So you get out whatever you put in. That's true too. Yeah. So protection wise, Dan was a recovering Catholic, so his protection was very um, Catholic prayer and salt and holy water and all that stuff. I don't have anything. I don't have like a firm. This is my belief system. I'm using this as my platform. So
Right.
I kind of put together my own with
Okay.
like pieces of everything that I'm like, oh yeah, this will work. Yeah, that'll work too. So I carry a St. Michael's challenge coin
Okay.
um, because St. Michael is the patron saint of soldiers, and
Sure.
I'm a retired soldier. So I believe in that. Doesn't matter whether or not I believe in Christianity or Catholicism. I believe in St. Michael,
Mm-hmm.
and I believe that that coin will be part of my defense. I also have a Viking Rune of Protection necklace. I'm more researching that. I'm more interested in the whole Norse religion aspect. So a lot of my stuff is leaning that way, but I have the necklace for that. I have various crystals. So the
Mhm.
one that I'm sporting right now is what is it? Obsidian, onyx, amethyst, tiger's eye, and one more I can't remember. Which are all very good for protecting yourself from various different things.
Right.
But when you have all that stuff, when you have the cross on, the challenge coin, the crystals, if you don't believe in them, they're just pieces of metal. They're just crystals. It's useless to you. You have to actually believe in what you're wearing for it to protect you. Otherwise, it's just jewelry.
Right. It's just some
There's
sort of faith that you have to have, like some sort
right.
of like protection. Yeah.
Yeah, which is why mine works for me because I don't have one particular faith. I took all the pieces that I liked and said, "This is my system now. All these little bits I'm putting together."
That's awesome. Alicia says, "Does your son have any interest in the paranormal field?"
So my son loves investigating Broadhead Manor. Done it quite a few times. He really enjoys it. It's gotten to the point now where I just give him stuff and I'm like, "Go, have fun," and he just goes by himself or with his friends, and he'll when we're doing an event there, he'll just go and investigate with like Ed or who else was there? I think he might have investigated with Diet, maybe Deidre. Kat and Will he investigated with. Ethan he investigated with. He'll just go and investigate with other people because he really enjoys it.
Right. That's
So
awesome.
I don't know. I'm assuming that's Taryn. Hi Taryn. I don't know if he'll ever do it to the extent that I'm doing it. I'm gonna assume not because it's kind of exhausting, and I get enjoyment out of this. I love going to conferences. I love meeting people. I love getting selfies. I love talking, doing presentations and podcast and books and film. Like this is what I like doing.
Yeah.
You
It's
know,
like your life. Yeah.
we don't know what he likes doing. So, oh, Darren, what's going on, brother? We don't know
Darren
what he
Buck.
likes doing. So I can't say if he's gonna follow in my footsteps or not. But for right now, he enjoys doing it.
Right. Has he ever had any like paranormal experiences that he's came to you about and asked you like, "Hey, is this what's going on here, Dad?"
Outside of going to Broadhead and stuff like that, no,
Okay, like
no,
no other personal experiences out like at home or anything crazy.
mm-mm,
Well, that's
mm-mm.
good.
Not,
Um,
not that I know of, at least.
right. Do you know what type of equipment does your son like to use? Does he have?
Um, he uses mine. He really likes the spirit box.
Oh,
Um, he likes the cat balls because they're super easy. You just put them down and wait.
mm-mm.
Um, I I've been introducing him to the Estes method. He hasn't tried it yet. But I have a feeling not too long from now he'll give it a try, which that's cool.
Yeah,
Um, Dowsing rod and pendulum stuff, I can't do that stuff. So I can't introduce him to that. But he has used dowsing rods before, and they kind of worked for him. So for me, they just do this the whole time. Like they don't work at all.
that's what we were also talking about on our last podcast about how the dowsing rods. It's just one of those things where you just don't know
Right.
because my hands are so shaky. And my wife, I know Alicia, she has introduced me to them, and I know that she's had some interaction and stuff with them,
Hmm.
but I just don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
I
Dan and Diet are masters of the dowsing rods. I mean, they
yeah,
when they pick their rods up, they're like, bing. Can you point this way? Bing, 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 bing.
wow,
Like, holy cow, you guys are great at this. Me, my
yeah.
rods are like, meh, meh.
For my sitting
Okay,
here, boop, boop, boop. I mean, I don't have
yeah,
any. I've tried it. It's like just
yeah.
everywhere. I can't keep my hands still. Alicia says, "Have you ever had a spirit follow you home?"
All the time. too many times. Like when it's a bad situation, it'll be like, hey, you need to stay here. You can't come home with me. You can't attach to me, to any of the people here, yada, 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 all that stuff. Sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't.
Hey,
Most of the
Jared.
time, within a couple days, they tend to go home. So I don't, I don't really care too much. I have a resident spirit, where I call him the stairman. He like hangs out on my stairwell and he'll like block out the light on the stairs. And it's just like, dude, go upstairs or go downstairs. Like, figure this out.
Yeah.
I have a feeling like he pushes things out when it's time for them to go
Okay.
because he has the run of the house, but he still prefers the stairs. I don't get it. That's his space. But I have a feeling that when something follows me home after a day or two, he's like, okay, you got to go. This is my space.
That's funny, but
And,
that's kind of a
and
cool thing.
yeah, and I leave him alone except when I yell at him. It's
You
like,
gotta put up
dude,
your time, right?
you have to let them know like this is my house. You either go upstairs or you go upstairs because you're annoying me and I need to sleep and I can feel you enter the room. So go
Hmm.
upstairs.
Yep.
And most of the time he listens. So it's just like, why do we have to keep doing this every night? Like you should know by now. I keep yelling at
Now,
you every night at 1 a.m. Go the frick upstairs.
yeah, you have to set
So
boundaries. If you
right,
have a spirit that's in your house and you don't want to get rid of it, then you have to tell it like, hey, we have to set boundaries.
right, right.
I will respect you, you respect me. If not, I'm getting rid of you.
And I have a
um,
lot of friends that can do it. And I've threatened that before too. And I'm like, if you don't listen, I will bring Dan over and Dan will get you out of here in a way that you're not going to like.
uh,
And things are better.
Paracruz says, have you ever had a Dan
Dan, the,
acro
na- the
experience?
ghost hunters, the nighttime visit. No, I have not. Um, the moment that happens though, Darren, you'll be the first I tell.
Have
Have I
you
ever had
had
an
any?
attachment? I personally, to my knowledge, have not. I've had people say that there's something attached to me, and it never really like made itself known or something like that. Um, Nothing to where I'm like, hey, I need to get cleansed. I got an attachment. There were a couple times where I'm like, there's some bad juju in my life. Like, can you please come and cleanse me? I don't know if it was an attachment or just some funkiness on me, but as far as I know, no.
Right. Sometimes I feel that way too. It's like when something goes bad and then the next day something else happens and then something else happens. It's like,
Hmm.
is this because I investigated somewhere? Like,
Right.
what?
Or sometimes the people you investigate with, you're like, mm, I feel like I got some bad juju from that person. So you just
Yeah.
gotta be like, I need a cleansing to get rid of this bad juju.
Yeah. Do you feel like people's energy can like resonate
Oh
to
yeah.
you and then you take
Uh,
that home with you? Do you believe that? Because
oh,
I feel
100%.
I believe that too. I mean, if you're around somebody who's super negative, then you might feel that when you go home. But if you're around
Absolutely.
somebody super positive, then you'll also go home in a positive, it's people's energy really does reflect on other people. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't explain it. I know
Well,
there's
there's so you've heard of, being empathic, right?
yes.
And it's also called clairsentience. That is
Mhm.
basically, feeling the emotions of others and psychic messages through emotions and feelings like that. By being empathic or clairsentient, you can pick that stuff up and you end up carrying it with you, and it's just like, I don't know what's going on, but I just feel ucky right now. Like you got
Yeah.
to cleanse that energy off you. It could also be stuck in your aura to where like your aura gets dark spots on it, and it's like something don't feel right. And then you got to do like the Reiki thing. And Steve, what's
Yep.
going on, brother? Steve was on Expedition Eddie with us,
Nice.
so
Now, does Steve have like is he a part of a paranormal group?
he was a part of us, Dan and I, for since the very beginning. And
Oh,
then we did Expedition Andy. We brought Steve on, and then right now we're all just kind of sitting. Just
Just
doing other
chilling.
things, just
Yeah,
chilling.
for sure.
Um, but
Okay.
yeah.
Do you have a
Favorite.
favorite piece of gear at the present time?
Um, I really enjoy the Phasma box because number one, it's an app, and apps are supposed to be like no go, and it's like these are canned responses, they're repeatable, yada 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 yada. Well, I know for a fact that none of the apps have profanity in them in their word bank, and I've heard Dan be called a fatso, a shithead. There
Oh
was
my,
one time. There was one time Dan's like, "It's so peaceful here. I can just bring up a sleeping bag and go to sleep." And then the Phasma box goes, "Well, do it then, pussy." That's not in the word bank.
damn.
So if it's spitting this and worse out, okay, there might be something to the Phasma box. I really like playing with that. I also like doing the Phasma box as an Estes session. And then you get some wild and crazy things through that too. So
It sounds like they
you
don't like you too much.
as long as I've been using the Phasma box, which is for several years now, he's the only one to get called names.
To
The
get
only
picked.
time I've ever been called a name, it was stupid. That was the only one. Like you're stupid. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, thanks.
They've told me F you and
Yeah.
you
Which
know,
which is, cool. Fine. That's a great response to get, but it's supposed to be on an app that's non-legitimate.
right. Yep.
Like canned responses that are, predictable. Well, that's not in that word bank. I guarantee you it's not. So, where did fatso come from?
Larry says, quick, have you seen any of your army brothers from the service?
One of the soldiers I was deployed with, Chris, used to pop in every once in a while.
Okay.
So, no, I have no way of communicating. I don't ghost hunt my house, so it's always been, um, a sensitive or a psychic that I was dating who just like some dude just walked in, and his name's Chris, and he wants to tell you something. I'm like, okay, that's fine. So yeah, every once in a while, but not really. Just the one or two that I was close with.
Hmm. So going back to what we were talking about the the auras and the energies. Alicia says clear you got to clear your energy sometimes. A good cleanse for the house. Before and after.
Yeah. Well, and even like non darkness, spiritually, like you should be cleansing your house every time you have a guest over.
Right. Yep.
Especially if you're like very sensitive to scents. Like me, like I'm very sensitive to smells. Like if I smell a smell that's not natural to my space, like I don't like that.
Hmm.
So, I'm always burning these teakwood mahogany candles and stuff like that just to reestablish my space.
Yeah, and it smells so good too. I love that.
It smells fantastic. But
Is there
once that smell is in my space, now it feels like my space again.
okay? I always get like super relaxed when I burn sage. For some reason, I just want to fall asleep.
Yeah.
I mean, I like
Yeah.
it. Is there a location that you want to go to that you haven't been yet?
Oh my. Well, it was Gettysburg, so we're just gonna chick that one off the list. Uh, outside of that, any of like these old forts down south. I haven't looked into any of them, so I can't give you a name. But these old war forts and castles and stuff like that. I'd love to go to any of those.
I'd
I think
love
that
to
would be a
go.
whole bunch of fun.
A castle would be awesome.
Yeah.
Alicia and I went to one, I believe, in Tennessee. She might know better than me because she has a better memory than I do of which one it was. But we were on a battlefield, and I was
Yeah.
like, I wanted to take a piece of rock. I wanted to like kind of, take something with me. And she's like, nope, don't do it. Don't
Yeah.
bring that one.
Yeah. You don't want to bring anything home from a place like that. You don't know what you're bringing with because yes, there are spirits there, but there's also a lot of tragedy, and you have all these men dying horribly. That can put a bit of a darker stain on a location, and that can manifest into something it's on its own. You know what I'm saying? Like you can have a negative energy manifestation from all this trauma that isn't a spirit. It's its own entity. It's manifested from nothing, but the collection of all this bad stuff.
Right.
And if you just so happen to find something that it's attached to, you now bring that negative entity home.
Yep. It's because it's got like
Don't
some
do it.
it's attached to it, like
Right.
whatever
And
place
it's
time.
essentially a parasite.
Yes,
And
that is
it will take your energy to keep feeding it. So,
right.
don't do it.
That's a good word. Larry, have you ever seen one of your brothers from the service? Have you meaning
Yeah, we
any?
covered that. Yeah, we covered that. That
Oh,
was my fellow soldier Chris.
okay.
Gettysburg Bash, baby. Yeah, yeah. I'm going back next year. I'll be there. Greetings from
Greeting.
Manchester, England. Wow,
Okay.
that's a long way.
Oh yeah. Well, thanks for coming
That's
on.
fun.
Boone's Farm Plantation. Alicia says,
That could be fun.
"Yep, that's where we went to when we went through Tennessee."
Okay.
Um, so, oh,
You're a poor farmer, but you have 5,000 cattle.
wow.
That's a lot of cattle to feed. Last week, I was checking out my bollocks when a giant cicada swept in and snatched my beloved cow Daisy.
God only knows suffering she endured. I'm crying as
Did
a title.
cows?
Oh wow. My question is, do cows go to heaven?
Well, I've always heard that cows are like big dumb dogs, and all dogs go to heaven. So I'm gonna assume that cows probably go to heaven.
Yep.
That's
That's yeah. That's that. I mean, that's a good theory. Lisa.
sound theory.
Right. But I'm sorry to hear. I mean,
Yeah.
but let's see. Castle in Missouri had cows in it.
I've heard of that castle. Yes. That was one that was actually introduced to me last week, and it's on my list. But I
I,
didn't know it had POWs in it, so that's interesting.
what's been the outside of the box thing you have done, or out of the box thing that you have done on an investigation that you regret?
That
With
I
like,
regret? Ooh. I don't really regret very many things. Um, I always try very hard to stay respectful. Um, I can't say anything.
mhm,
Anything really. Most of the stuff that I've done outside of the box is like, hey, let's add this to this method and see how we can twist it into something better.
right.
But nothing I've ever regretted. I've never brought something home that was nasty because I pushed too hard or anything like that. I've never been seriously attacked to the point where I regret doing something. Like when I was at Broadhead, I got grabbed by the janitor really, really, really hard, and I don't regret doing it. I don't regret doing that session of the investigation. Um, I don't even regret being there. It's just like, oh well, that happened. Okay, we're moving on now.
Mhm.
So honestly, I don't really regret anything.
I've never been like grabbed like that before. I think I've been like touched or like flicked or tapped on the shoulder a couple of times.
Yeah,
And I'm telling you, like it does make me jump. It like catches me off guard, and
sure.
Um, Alicia says, "Let's do it, Larry." I think she's referring to the
The castle.
Missouri. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, had to find the time to do it because between now the end of November, it's just packed. Every weekend has got stuff going on. It's like, it's getting tiring. I love doing it, but man, the drives are killing me.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you being on here with us. So thank you for
Sure.
taking the time out of your night to hang out and have some interaction with all of our people. So
Yeah.
um, let's see. My ex-wife, ran away with a Nigerian taxi driver that has 12 kids now. Boy, I still love her. You think we will ever get back together? Well,
Probably not.
yes. But I mean, if that's what I mean, hopefully there's hope, right? I mean, if that's what you hope for, then it's not a bad thing.
He hasn't been to the jail yet. Which jail? There's a few jails I know of.
Yeah. The squirrel cage jail?
There's also Miranda's jail in Tennessee.
Have you been to
Um,
the squirrel cage jail yet?
mm-mm.
Okay.
I have not. Yeah, the janitor at Broadhead is like best friends with Steve. We had a solo session down there. He was doing the dowsing rods, and the SB7 was running behind him, and presumably he didn't hear it because he didn't respond to it at all. But the SB7 just going, Steve, 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 Stevie, hey Steve, and it's like, what the hell, man?
Wow.
Janitor just loves Steve. It's probably his badass Jeep, is what it is. Watoma. No, I have not been to that jail. But
So
I'm always down
yeah. So what kind
if I have
of
time.
where's your next location that you'll be investigating?
Well, actually, next weekend, as part of the event out in Edinburgh Manor for the Paranormal Rockdown,
Cool.
I am there. I'm speaking on the 9th, which is also my birthday. So,
Yeah,
and then I'm investigating Edinburgh Manor, which I've never investigated before, on my
really?
birthday. So I'm doing this on my birthday. I'm so excited.
Yes. So next, okay, everybody. I believe it's next Friday, Larry's birthday,
Uh, ooh, is that Friday? Is it? Yeah, I think
August
it's
9th,
Friday. Yeah,
Friday.
yeah,
And
yeah. The music part's Thursday. The investigation's Friday.
yep, Paranormal Rockdown, Edinburgh Manor. You can go on to Shadow Seeker's page and
Yeah.
you can get all the information there. So go hang out with Larry Eisler, you guys.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
gonna make it out. My birthday is August 8th, so it's Thursday. So
Is
it's
it really?
yeah,
Oh, what a small world.
yeah. So we're both Leos.
There's nothing better than a Leo, let me tell you.
Exactly. I mean, I know some people kind of differ on that, but to each their own.
That's because they're not Leos.
We're lovers and compassionate.
Right. You can't hate from the outside because you can't even get in.
Yeah, exactly. Love it. Solitary confinement at Squirrel Cage Jail is so bad. Yep.
Okay. Hmm.
Love you guys. You have a sense of humor. Thank
Well,
you.
I hope everything with your ex-wife goes well. And with your cow.
Yes.
Traverse City Insane Asylum. Ooh, that'd be a fun
Hey,
one too. The
I'm just
last insane asylum I did was Mantino, many, many years ago before the Morgan Cottage got tore down. And that place was trippy. There was a lot of wild stuff. So, I'd absolutely do another one.
mhm. I want to go to Waverly Hill Sanatorium. I think we were kind of talking about that a little bit too. Kind of one of our
Yeah.
goals.
I
Uh,
must be the only person that has no interest.
really?
Yeah. Everyone's been there.
Yeah.
When I got into the paranormal, it was to debunk it. And then obviously I failed miserably at that, right? So if I can't debunk it anymore, well, now I got to prove it. So I spent a good 4 or 5 years doing the heavy science stuff, the theory and figuring out why stuff works the way it does. And then it comes a point in time where you're like, I've been doing this for 6 years now. I can't prove it to myself anymore. Like I know this stuff exists. All the people that I speak with, they know this stuff exists. So what am I still trying to prove here? So I stopped trying to prove things, and now it's about telling stories.
Right.
And sometimes it's the spirit story, sometimes it's the location story. Getting the history out that no one knew about. It's still really cool history. That people just wouldn't know about because it's so off the beaten path. And bringing that location to other teams so that they can be like, hey, I want to investigate this place too. This is what Larry got when he was trying to share their story. I want to get what I get now.
Right.
And I've found that I really enjoy the paranormal that way. I don't care about having the latest and greatest, newest piece of equipment because it doesn't help me tell the story any better than what I have.
That's a good point.
Like, yeah, I can get you to light up all these lights and do all this really cool stuff, sure.
to
but
prove. But then
I
it's
need
like,
your words. I
yeah,
need you to tell me things. I need yes and no answers. So something simple like an SB7, an Estes, the Phasma box, the Necrophonic, the Epoch, the yes or no Epoch, like that can all be used to tell the story. But a REM pod, it's cool and it's evidence, but it doesn't really tell that story very much. You know what I'm saying?
right. I think that's a good point because when you look
Leo,
at it like
baby.
it's not so boring all the time. You know, like you go and do the same thing, right? I mean, you go and investigate, but if you look at it like trying to get a story as opposed to just trying to get evidence of paranormal, I think you would have a better, much more efficient investigation by trying to get stories. And I talk to a lot of different people and get new ideas and different things. And I think my next investigation, I'm going to try to focus more on getting a story,
Yeah.
and spirits really will tell a story, but then it's up to you to put it together. That's why you got to.
Yes.
I like to sometimes I like to look up a little bit of history on Google before I go to somewhere.
Mhm.
If I've never been to a place, I kind of like to look up so I know kind of what I'm looking for and stuff. So
Yeah. And that can help you phrase your questions.
yes.
2024. Woo. What's going on, Mike? But yeah, I mean, and that's okay. Not everybody has to be about the hard science. There are a lot of teams that do that very, very, very well. But from what I found, there aren't very many storytellers.
Hmm.
And when you can get a storyteller with a hard science person, that's when you can get both.
And that's good. I mean, that's very good. It's
Yeah,
interesting to me that they can process everything plus like have both um both skills behind
yeah,
them to because it just makes everything make sense when you're putting it all together and then you're viewing it, and then if they happen to put it out there and it's like, oh, this is really interesting, and then they're telling the history of it,
yeah.
and it's like, wow, I never even knew about any of that until now.
Right.
And once they start getting interaction with the spirits, and then the spirits start telling their story, it's like, okay, so we're putting two and two together. So now it's
Hmm.
kind of linking up into this nice big kind of story.
Right. Absolutely. And yes, everyone can go out and do the investigation and get all the flickers and the beeps and the boops and all that stuff. But if no one's there to tell the story of the spirit, no one's going to know how awesome and special that place truly is.
Right. Because I mean, history is definitely one thing when you're going to a location,
Yeah.
you want to present some of the history on it. And
Right. Right.
yeah, I
And that's why
started.
Broadhead's so special because, the first spirit you think of at Broadhead is Elizabeth.
Hmm.
And there's stories about Elizabeth and all the things that she's able to do to interact with you because people have taken the time to sit down and talk with her and
Right.
see that her favorite color is blue. So if you give her blue things, a blue box of crayons and stuff like that, like you're gonna have a good time that night. The principal, Mr. Fisker, he doesn't seem to like alternative women. In our episode of Expedition Entity, Jenny Coles is a little alternative. She's got the short chopped hair, different colors. She's got that nose piercing right here,
Right.
tattoos and stuff. It's like she's alternative. And from his time frame, like that's a no go. And he kind of picked on her pretty heavily,
Hmm.
and it's like we figured that out about him. Good night, Brian. Take care, brother.
Good night,
And
bud.
that's now part of his story is hey, if you've got a female that's a little pierced up and a little tatted up, be very careful. And
Right.
same with the janitor. Like if a female investigator starts asking questions to the janitor, he might not like that
Hmm.
because he told us he doesn't like that. So like you can't just go in there and just take your shotgun out and start shotgunning questions everywhere because it doesn't always work.
Right. So the last time I went to Broadhead, it was really cool because we were doing it with the spirits in the spring.
Yeah.
And after I heard, I want to say it was Ethan and Kat was talking about, there was a little boy spirit, and they were talking about that would roam the
Hmm.
hall. And I sat at my table after that speech, and I put a REM pod at my table, and it wasn't going off for a while, and then um we started talking about the cookies that Alicia made,
Okay.
and I sure as I mean, I was asking the boy, I said, would you like to come up and kind of just, like, let's see if you can come up and, grab a cookie or something, I think it was, or whatever. And then
Sure.
Charlie said, I'm going to take some of those cookies home. And all of a sudden you get like the
Yeah.
slightest remnant. And I'm like, that is so
Yeah.
freaking awesome, because we started talking about something that a child spirit would probably like, snacks and stuff.
Some of the best responses that I've gotten on things like the spirit box have been talking about food. It's like it doesn't matter how old you are, where you're from, when you're from, we all like food.
Yes.
So, that's easy to talk about. That's something, and it's a casual question like, "Hey, what year is it where you're from? Who was the president when you're from?" I'm not answering that stupid question. No, screw you. Hey, uh, do you like milk? Do I like milk? No, I don't like milk. Milk is gross. There's your response. Because you caught the spirit off guard. He's like, milk? What the hell? What's your favorite food? Oh, my favorite food. Well, I really like chicken, through the S box or whatever.
Right.
You can get great answers like that are just completely out of nowhere, but they completely tie to your question. And you're still getting the story from that person. You're figuring out what they like to eat,
Right.
which is a
Exactly.
lot more important than who's the president.
Yep. Alicia's
Nobody
got.
right now cares about who the president is. So why would they answer that from 30 years ago?
Yeah. Alicia says you got to get on their level. Spirits were once living beings. Yes, you're right.
Exactly. You got to treat them like they're human, whether they're living or not. They're still human. So, and talking with each other, you go, oh, well, what restaurant have you eaten at lately? What'd you like there? Like, oh man. So I went to this restaurant in Maryland. It's called, I think it's Ott's Tavern or Ott's Pub. And they had this Carolina mustard sauce for their hot wings.
Oh my god.
Like, yeah, people like talking about food. So then you start asking the ghost, like, well, what kind of food did you like when you were alive? And you'd be crazy the kind of responses you get. There we go. So that's kind of an out of the box thing we did. We did an Estes session in the bar at the Roadhouse in Oregon, Illinois.
Okay.
And have you ever been there?
No, but you know what? I've heard about it, and I've looked into some of the history on Google about it, and I
Yeah,
would really love to go there.
pretty wild place. But the bar, the huge bar. So in the episode, we have Dan like smushed against the wall, facing the wall, doing the Estes. And then Jen and Steve are a good, 8+ feet behind them. And basically, Steve was there pointing the camera at Jen, and Jen would go, "What card is this?" She wouldn't say it, but she'd show to Steve's camera and go, "What is this card?" And, you'd be surprised how many of those cards Dan got correct. And then after 3 cards went down, the sum of those cards added up to 19. And then Dan goes, "Hit." And then, like Jen didn't pick it up, and Steve got it. And he starts tapping on the cards and tells her to flip them over. And he goes, "Hit."
We playing blackjack, right?
And right, which the spirit that we were interacting with gambled in the basement.
Gotcha.
So no, she said stay because it was 19. She would have stayed. So it was stay. And you don't put that together, but Steve got it. Steve figured it out. He's like 19. You stay on 19. So it was cool. Ordered a spirit box from Amazon. Jeff Cuball head Bezos rang me back and said, "Bother me again, I'll have you whacked." Well, that's a threat, so I'd imagine it's illegal.
Yeah.
I imagine so. But that's the card trick with the Estes. That's just another way to go outside the box a little bit.
Right.
You have to do things like that to where it's like, hey, there's a lot of gambling here. Let's play cards.
It really does spike up a lot of, would you say, residual energy
Well, I mean,
or
it
intelligence?
can, but it'd be intelligent because
Intelligence.
it'd essentially be a trigger object, and you
Right.
can't trigger something that's residual.
Oh, that's true, because it's constantly repeating.
Yeah, it's just there, so it's not there to get triggered. It just does its thing.
Right. So yeah, you're right. It would be intelligent.
Yeah, which Yeah, you get 19 and then it goes stay. That's pretty intelligent if you're used to blackjack.
That, that's crazy. That'd be awesome. So you said to watch that, or I mean, if you watch that episode, where can people find your guys' content?
So Expedition Entity is a Paraflix original series. Paraflix is the only place you can watch it.
Okay.
Our big Telly Award winning episode is free. It's in a separate subsection called the Paranormal Channel, where everything is free to watch. You can watch that episode for free. The rest of them you have to have the subscription to watch, which I believe is only $4.99 a month, and then you get a free 3-day trial when you sign up. So you could watch all three or all three seasons in those 3 days, and then if you want to keep it, keep it. If you want to cancel it, that's up to you.
Right.
But there's a lot of really cool stuff on there, and stuff's coming out all the time to where it's like, $5, that's not too bad. I can keep that for a
No.
little bit.
Right, exactly. The child spirit at Broadhead, we were playing with when I won said you're lucky on
Yeah,
that E7.
you'd really be surprised what they say. I was a part of the Sam Beltrusis event up there a couple weeks ago, and I was doing the investigation on the third floor, and it was in I believe Ed, what's going on? I
What
believe
up?
it was it was in the math room, and it was with the group, and I was under the Estes, so I couldn't hear anything, and I was on the other side of the room, a good 20 feet away, and
Mhm.
they're asking questions. I'm saying stuff, and come to find out, one of them started singing or something, and then I said stop, and then somebody else started singing something different, and I said that was good. So it's like you never know what these guys are gonna say.
That's funny. I mean, we had some really cool SS Methans at Broadhead too.
Yeah.
Um, it's been kind of a while since we've done them, but I mean, they know Bill like
Oh
100%.
yeah. And
Uh,
and
I mean,
they will request Bill right away. Like, where's
yeah,
Bill? Bill's downstairs. Get Bill. I'm not gonna get Bill. You can talk to us. Get
and
Bill.
it's so weird because Bill then will pop up like he
Yeah.
knew that he was being talked about, and then he'll just come in the room like, "Oh shit!" I take my, and I was like, "The spirits." I remember saying Bill in my, and then here you are.
Yep. Yep.
And it even says Ed's. I think they know Ed too. Yeah.
I'm sure. We're in trouble. Ed's here. Yep. 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 Yep.
Yeah.
Ed's ready to throw down.
What up, Ed? To clarify, I am not. Yeah, okay. Even if I was one.
It's okay.
Okay.
It's okay to have preferences. It's okay.
I mean, to each their own.
That's right. That's right.
Uh, what are I know I asked you this, but you're a. Do you have a new season coming out?
No, Expedition Eddie is done.
Okay.
Because of Dan retiring, he was not only the host of the show, he was the lead investigator, but he was also the co-creator. And to do the show without Dan, it wouldn't be the same show.
Right.
The magic would be gone because it was us doing it together.
Hmm.
I am working on other projects. I have a documentary I'm working on with Neil Gibbons for the Seance at the Rough House, which that's an event on October 26th. And we're filming the seance they're conducting at that event. And then we're doing a documentary about that seance.
Nice.
So, we already went through and it was me, Diet, and Neil. And just Diet is so freaking phenomenal at this. We basically, for lack of a better term, we kidnapped her
Hmm.
and brought her to the house. And then, 5 minutes out, I'll get to that question in a sec. About 5 minutes out, we basically said, here's a camera, get in the front seat and start talking. And she's used to that because I've done it to her before. So she knows how the camera thing works. Don't look at the camera, look over here and all that stuff. And she's just hitting on all this stuff that it there's multiple timelines in the house because of the multiple owners, and she's just picking on things from all of them, and I'm in the back seat just laughing because I'm like, she has no idea how significant all this is. Like, she's just hitting it out of the park right now, and she's so confused, and I can't wait to tell her. Then we do the interview, she does her walkthrough. Well, the walkthrough is just phenomenal. You know,
Mhm.
she's hitting on people. She's getting drawn to things that she's supposed to be getting drawn to, and stuff like that. And you know, the next time we go up, we do the actual investigation of the three of us, and we treat that investigation as the baseline. This is pre-seance, just the regular house, nothing special, just what you would get if you investigated on a random day.
Right.
And we got some stuff. We got some cool stuff. Um, the idea is on October 26th, Diet is going to funnel the energy of 200 plus people in a seance to try to make communication with whoever, whether it's the girls involved in the Watsika Wonder, you know, maybe them, maybe one of the past residents there. We don't know because it's a seance. You never know who's going to come across. But then the question becomes, does all of that energy at the house affect the activity inside the house?
Right.
Because energy can't be created or destroyed, right? So if we're
Right.
taking all that energy from all these people and bringing it forth to the middle to make this communication, you know, what happens to it then?
Hmm.
You know,
So is
can we basically like Kamehameha wave the energy into the house and now all the
that
spirits have it to play with? We're gonna
right?
find out. And
So,
then Dave
yep.
Schrader and then Nat and Elliot from ACG Paranormal, they're going to be leading groups inside the house after the seance, and they're going to be investigating the house to see if activity picked up, and if it did, how.
Right. Now, this is a project that you have going on October 26th.
26th, yeah. And it's an expo, so you can come, you can be a vendor, which I think there's open vendor seats still. There's readings, there's speakers, there's daytime investigations of the house that you can go and investigate during the day. It's all a
Okay.
part of the ticket package. And then there's the seance, which is about an hour or so. And then you've got the nighttime investigations that last, you know, up to 4 hours, depending on what time you get. It's a whole like big event all day long. And you know, for the people that get the ticket that sit at the table with Diet, like you
Yeah,
are a part of the documentary. Like you have to sign off and everything because your name and face is featured in the documentary.
that's awesome.
Everybody else, you're just kind of a background character. You'll be shown. It's not going to be like this is this person and this is their name. You'll just
Yeah,
be there in the background.
but to be part of
Um,
that experience, I think would be really badass.
and you'll be able to go, hey, remember that seance I told you about? The video came out. You can watch it now. And
Yeah.
they go and watch it.
So let's see. Going
So,
back
oh,
to Alicia, yeah.
so I will film other teams. I will bring all my gear, depending on scheduling, of course. You know, it's all about the schedule. But I will absolutely film other teams to the best of my ability. Just one dude, so multiple camera angles can be a little difficult. But you know, I'll do the best I can, or I'll work with one of your team members to do a 2 camera setup. Editing, I really don't like editing in general. I I do it because I have to, but the moment I have the opportunity to pay somebody else to edit, I'm doing that because
Yeah.
it's so time consuming, and I need to jump on the next project. Welcome back, Tiffy. So you know, like this documentary with Neil, you know, I'm doing the editing on that too. That's going to keep me so locked up editing that it's going to slow down the next project I have to do.
Right.
So you know, the chance for me to edit something, I really don't want to, but I'll film all day and hand you the footage and say good luck. I will do that.
It's actually pretty cool. I mean, I like that because that was a question that I had um, in the back of my mind too. That was a good
Mhm.
question, Alicia, because I was like, man, what if you could come and film some of our things? Now, do you like
Yeah,
do drone footage and stuff like that? Do you have drones?
I have a 4K 60 drone, so I can do the slow mo drone stuff. Um, Depending on if it's a building, you know, I can get all the swoopy shots and all the things you need. If it's, you know, more of an open space and you want drone footage of the people, that's a little harder because drones are loud. You know, you don't want to be doing your investigation and then in the background here the whole time. You know,
Right.
so if you want a drone shot, we kind of have to fake the drone shot, like
Yeah.
finish your investigation and then get back into place, and then I'll fly the drone, and then I'll get like 10 seconds a shot. Otherwise,
Yeah.
you know, it ruins the investigation.
I'd love to have a drone shot of like overhead on buildings, or like when you're driving, I see like some I watch some shows that they have like your
Mhm.
vehicle, and then it like shows. I mean, it's just really
So,
incredible what a
fun
drone can do.
fact: all those vehicle driving shots are never shot on the way to the location.
Really?
They're always shot somewhere locally where they can be there all day and then just film driving
Yeah.
back and forth.
And then just edit it into their, yeah.
Yep. Yeah,
Paranormal
it's a
Room.
stock
Darren,
footage.
Darren Buss says, "Where is this?" We were talking about the Paracon or the Expo that with this seance. That's on
Oh,
October.
that it's the Watsika Wonder House, October 26th in Watsika, Illinois. You can get information on Graveside Paranormal or Neil Gibbons' Facebook page, or even my Facebook page. I've shared a bunch of stuff for it. Tickets have already been launched, so you can go and get tickets now. The table that sits with Diet, that's a limited amount of tickets because there's only so many seats for that. So if you want to get in there, you got to get those tickets soon. And yes, I crashed the hell out of my drone so many times that I now have blade guards for the drone to where it won't snap my blades.
That's awesome.
No,
'Cause
because
they're
it
not.
cost me extra money.
I was gonna say, well, and they're not cheap. I mean,
No, no, you
you
can't
have
just
to,
go and buy like a set of two blades and that's it. You have to buy like 15 of them,
and I
and
mean,
15 sets.
do you have to have a license to operate a drone?
The
Like a
legal answer
special?
is yes.
Okay,
You are supposed to have a drone license.
okay. But
Now,
now, what if?
now for pleasure, to just mess around and fly it yourself, no, you're fine. Most of the time you can get away with it. If you're doing things commercially, you're supposed to have one.
Okay, like if you're promoting something on television or whatever
Yeah,
media.
any commercial property. There have been a few locations that I've submitted film permits for where they said, "Hey, if you're flying drone, we need your license." And I'm just like, "Dang, okay, this place is for real." And
Yeah.
then so many others are like, "Yeah, we don't care. You're fine." Sweet. How much do I charge for editing in videos? So that's a case by case basis. And a lot goes into it because every video is different. Like if I have to combine 7 cameras and I have to go through the footage of 7 cameras with 7 audio tracks with, all this other stuff that has to be compiled together into one stream, it takes a lot longer than if there's just one camera and it's running the entire time.
Mhm.
If I have to, take bad audio and make it sound better, it takes extra time. If I have to supply my own stock footage or music tracks or sound effects and all that stuff, if I have to do that, it takes extra time. Um, so that's also why I don't really care much for editing because it takes so long. And
Mhm.
and when I film things, there's several cameras, several audio tracks. Some audio tracks are for audio, some audio tracks are for room audio, some audio tracks are for the camera operator in case something happens to them. Like all that has to be put in place where it's supposed to be. And then it all has to be leveled so that if I cut to, let's say, my audio as the camera operator, I'm not screaming into the mic compared to the people in front who are just talking normally. It all has to be brought into balance.
Right.
So but and then same thing with filming though. If you bring me to film, if you want an interview setup, but that's a whole ball of wax with its
Mhm.
own unique setup. If you just want investigation, it's its own thing with its own setup. So it's hard to be like, oh, well, it'll cost this much because a million things can change that.
Need
Need
some
some
drone
drone.
footage for my Jeep with all the lights.
Uh, I can do that. We'll get together. Some nighttime stuff would be really cool. We got to be in the right spot because I don't want to hit a tree at night. I'll never find the drone. I didn't see Sierra come
Sierra,
in.
Sierra's in the house.
Editing sucks. Yeah, I don't care for editing. I will film and film and film and film and film, and then if I have the opportunity to, I'll be like, here's 2 terabytes of footage. Edit this for me, please. And then it costs like $1,000 to edit. So eh. Rolls Royce to pick you up at Manchester Airport. Yeah, yeah. Fly me out. I'll bring all my stuff as much as I can.
That'd
It's
be
actually very expensive to fly film equipment, believe it or not, because they can't just be thrown. Hi, Sierra, there you are. It can't just be thrown in the hold. It's all very fragile equipment, and it has to be packed a certain way. And yes, you have to have the TSA little lock so they can get into it and check it. But at the same time, it's like if a piece falls out because they're not being very careful, that piece could cost me $80. Or if it's a bigger, more expensive piece, that little piece that fell out could be $150. So it's it's
right.
it's very stressful to fly with equipment. I'll keep editing myself. Yeah, yeah. That's
I do it, but it's not, it's not the best, but I try,
You got to
you know.
start somewhere.
Yeah,
It's not like I didn't start off really bad. There's a reason why the first Expedition Entity was on YouTube because it was not good.
right. But we all just have fun with it.
Yeah, you have to learn the hard way, and that's failing and doing things badly, and then going, damn, that sucked. How can I
Right.
do that better? I'm gonna
It's
look this up and see how I can do this better.
Yep.
And then that piece gets better, that piece gets better, that piece gets better, and then all of a sudden you put it together and you're like, oh, well, okay, this looks pretty good now because you screwed up so
Um,
much.
right. So I got a question. If you had no expenses like that, like if expense wasn't an issue or anything, where would your all-time top favorite investigation be anywhere in the world?
Ooh. So as unethical as it is, it's about the story, right? That's the primary thing. It's about the story, even though it'd be unethical to investigate there and film there. It'd probably be Auschwitz
Okay.
because, yes, it's unethical, it's very sacred, and they don't like that over there. But what better way to tell their stories than to let them tell it, you know?
Right.
So, and it would probably take a very sizable donation to get them to open their doors for the paranormal. So I'm glad it's all expenses paid.
Can you explain a little bit of like where it is or
Auschwitz, the Nazi concentration camp.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I'm not gonna lie, I'm not like a big history
Yeah,
um person, but wow. So you're talking Germany.
right. And I think I'm pretty sure it's Austria. Let me see. I'm pretty sure it's Austria. I cannot remember. I'm looking it up because I cannot remember.
Oh, it's okay. So Ronald Lovett says, "Hi, Larry.
Ronald, what's going on, my friend? What's going on?
Give it another go, Alicia. He might be worth money one day."
Oh, no, it's Poland. That's what it is. It's Poland.
Poland. Okay. Okay.
So so yeah, they don't mess around with that stuff. But if everything is covered and I don't have to worry about any costs, and somebody would give a very sizable donation to that museum to get me in there, I would love to cover the story of those spirits.
That would be one
Because
hell of a yeah.
think about it, the history is already done. It's a museum. Like you can get that history super easy. But let me start talking to these spirits and get names and
Right.
get their stories that aren't covered because there's no way to know. Turn the spring, and he said there's so much energy in the gas. I bet. I bet. And the gas chamber wasn't like an instant death. Like the people in there when the stuff started happening, they put two and two together, I'm sure.
Right.
They knew what was gonna happen.
What's up,
So
Chris?
it's that slow death where you're just like, this is it. I'm gonna die right here in this
Yeah.
little tube. And what does that do to the space?
Damn. I couldn't imagine. I mean,
I would
I
die.
dude, I mean, just the emotions that are probably stored into that, like that gas station,
Eh,
maybe a gas station, gas
into that,
station.
that haunted Amico at Auschwitz.
Go in Austria. I love it.
But yeah, yeah. And just not only that, how many times are there stories of, hey, this guy was walking around and just a guard shot him right there on the spot for doing nothing, just shot him. Or hey, they made him dig his own grave, shot him, and then had somebody else bury him. Like those spirits are gonna have things to talk about.
Fucked up. Yeah.
So the fact that we don't get their stories, it's unfortunate. I'd
Yeah.
love to hear the stories straight from them, but
Hmm.
I also get it. On that side of the world, it's seen more disrespectfully.
Right. For me, it's like ancient Egyptians.
Hmm.
Um, Darren Bus says Dracula's castle. That'd be awesome.
Yeah,
Hey, Chris.
we were
We
promoting the Rock Down. Yeah, I was
Yeah,
saying,
yeah,
my first investigation of Edinburgh Manor on my birthday.
yep. So once again,
I'm
everybody,
excited.
if you're just tuning in, August 9th, next Friday, Paranormal Rockdown. Get a hold of Chris Hartle. Get a hold of Larry. You guys can get tickets to go out there and have a good time with them. They're going to have an
Yeah,
investigation. I believe they're going to have some bands come out and play.
that's the 8th.
Okay, so the 8th and then the
Yeah.
9th is the investigation.
The 9th is the daytime expo, and then me, Nick, Aaron, and Zach Elston, I think is his last name. The
Yep.
four of us there, and then We Are Paranormal is sponsoring the event. So Nate and Kate are going to be there. I don't know, Sierra, are you going to be there? I don't know if Sierra's going to be there. We'll find out in a minute, I guess.
Yeah, so check them out, you guys. Go over there and it's Paranormal Rockdown. You can also check out Shadow Seekers as well.
Yeah,
Let's see. They are
this is
August.
this is kind of messed up. Congratulations, you get to shower, and then instead of water, it's poison gas.
Yeah, that's fucked up.
That's not cool.
Shame, two people say goodbye.
Egypt is where I want to go to. Egypt would be cool. Don't get me wrong. I think I'd have a good time. Um, but I just don't know where to go.
Right.
Like there's the
It's like,
pyramids, but the pyramids aren't like a major battle zone or anything. It's a tomb
yeah, it's
for
yep.
one dude.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes there's servants and stuff like that in there. You got to go deep in to get to that.
Deep into
But
the temples and yeah.
yeah, but from there it's like, what else can I do in Egypt? I have no clue.
I'd be
No
afraid of
clue.
running out of water.
Well, that's a concern. Yeah. There are a lot of like, okay, cool, Sarah, you're going to be there. I'll see you there. There are a lot of like abandoned cities that have been discovered, old ancient Egyptian cities. Those would
Mhm.
be kind of cool to investigate and try to get the story of those. But again, you're out in the middle of nowhere in the desert. Like, what if I run out of water? I'm gonna die. I'm gonna join the dead in this city.
Exactly.
So
You're just sitting there like, and I'm just nothing but a skeleton because I'm dehydrated and I'm just dead and
right,
just in the middle of a
right.
carcass freaking feeding ground.
I get dehydrated at conferences. Like imagine the desert. I did the desert one time. I don't really want to go back to the desert. I'm
Right.
good. I'm good.
Now, would you go to like jungles or anything like battlefield jungles and
Um, maybe it would really depend. It depends on why I'm there, what I'm doing there, and stuff like that. Um,
all you so you always go in with a purpose. Every investigation that you do to or that you do, you always have a purpose of going, right?
Yes. So for Expedition Entity, one, it was about the story for the location, like the history of the building and what they're doing to try to keep the building running and stuff like that. That way, other teams can come in and investigate the building too. Like that was a big part of the purpose of Expedition Entity. Now with the docs that I'm doing, it's about the building still, but it's also about the spirits and their stories, and trying to figure out what story there is to tell. Will I be at the Vinton Shellsburg High School event?
Oh,
Nope.
that's
It's the
okay.
first I've heard about it.
This is the one, Benton County, right? I think, Alicia, you're talking about the Benton County on the 10th. That's coming up. The Benton Expo
Nope.
with Katie.
Haven't heard anything about it.
I
Gotta go,
got you.
guys. See you in a week, Larry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll
Take care,
see you
Sierra.
here. Oh, you're gonna okay. That's right, because We Are Paranormal is gonna be out there too. So I'm gonna just announce this real quick. If you guys want to go check out Eternal Paranormal, We Are Paranormal, we're gonna be out there. Haunted Happy Hour podcast, they're gonna be out there at the Benton Expo in the Benton. What did she say? The Benton Schulzberg High School event this Saturday.
Hmm.
So yes, Benton.
Benton.
Yep.
Yeah, I haven't heard about it. So, there are a lot of paranormal events, and it's like, how do I go to the mall? There's only so much time in the
There's
week, and that's all on
there's
the weekends. So,
yeah. Yep, there's so many of them. Well, I don't know if they have the last spot available or not, but if you want, get a hold of Katie Hopkins. Oh, so she's talking about there's like an investigation that I think you can go to there. That there was
okay,
like one available. All right, so I'm gonna wrap this up. We're about an hour and a half out, so I just kind of wanted to wrap things up by
sure.
saying thank you for coming on. And one of the things that I wanted to say was thanks for serving our country. I mean,
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for your
yeah,
support.
I appreciate that. So once again, tell people kind of like what you got some things coming up where they can find you at.
Sure. So, I have 3 books out right now: Ghost of the Black Hawk War, Afterlife Anthology, and then my newest one is Haunted by Likes. It's an ebook that just came out. I want to say 2 weeks ago on Amazon. That one is about social media use of the paranormal, and how we got to be really careful because there can be some negative effects using social media with the paranormal. And then I'm working on my next print book. Um, I have to get the forward done by somebody, and then a little bit more zhuzhing in some of the later chapters. I'm hoping to get that done and out by October. Um, and I love you too. And then I'm not ready to talk about that book quite yet, but it's going to be good. I'm still working on it. And then I've got the doc for the Seance of the Rough House, which is October 26th at Watseka, Illinois. You can look up Graveside, SIDE Paranormal on Facebook, or Neil Gibbons, Gibbons, and hope to see you too, Tiffy. And you can get the information there. You can get the ticket info. Diet, who's one of the best mediums I know, is a big part of that. And then Dave Schrader is a big part of it. There's going to be a couple other speakers and a bunch of great vendors. So it's going to be a great day, followed with the seance and then the documentary.
Yeah,
So
I would love to be a part of that. That'd be awesome.
yeah, and we're looking for 200 plus people to be a part of that seance. So by all means, try to help us get as many people there as we can, because the more people there, in theory, the more energy we should have to work with.
Oh yeah, exactly. So I wanted to show a little a photo here.
Yep,
If you guys, I believe that you can get your book on Amazon.
all 3 are on Amazon. Ghost of the Black Hawk War and Afterlife Anthology. I sell them at conferences. You can get them from me that are signed, or you can just buy one off Amazon and bring it to me, and I'll sign it. And then Haunted by Likes is an ebook, and I have plans for more ebooks. Um, this one did pretty well for the pre-orders. I'm just waiting for reviews to come in now. So if you have it as a pre-order, or you purchase it after the pre-order was done, leave a review so I know what you thought. And then I think I'm gonna open up other discussions. I think I want this to be a discussion series where 30 pages of an ebook starts the discussion, and then we can continue that discussion at another time.
Right. All right, everybody. Well, you just got done talking with Larry Eisler III, and I want to thank you once again for coming on Ghostly Encounters. We had an amazing talk,
Great time.
and
Thank you so much for
I
having me.
appreciate you for coming on, man.
It was a really good time. It was a really good time.
All right. Well, until next time, we will see you guys later.
Bye bye.